Flying Scotsman to Overlord, the package has arrived. Repeat, the package has arrived. Proceeding with operation.
Good evening and welcome to Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, PBDC TV's horror movie review program. Yes, this show really is hosted by a talking cat. If you're wondering why this show is hosted by a talking cat, the reason is very simple. The talking lemur wanted too much money and the talking giraffe is still in rehab. So tonight we're going to branch out into something different, something that's new and from a subgenre we've never really done on this show before. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, normally this would be the part of the show where we check in with our resident conspiracy theorist Crimson Meerkat, who's in the Appalachian Mountains to rescue our former administrative assistant, Malcolm Fluffosaurus. The problem is that he was captured by a group of meth-dealing cannibal hillbillies, and he's probably been eaten by now. So we're going to check in with our associate producer, Fancy the demonically possessed animatronic, to find out the latest status. So, Fancy, what's up this evening?
Good evening, Steve. I'm down in the control room at Steve the Cat headquarters, and from here, we've initiated a mission called Operation Monkey Freedom to rescue Crimson Meerkat.
Hey, sounding good there, Fancy. Sounds like your new animatronic voice box is finally off of backorder. So, we all saw the video of Guinevere getting airdropped into the forest to rescue Meerkat. What else can you tell us?
Well, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that Gwen arrived on time and on target, so she'll make her first reconnaissance pass of the cabin after dark. The bad news is that I just got a look at the documents that are being pulled together for the discovery phase of Malcolm's mother's lawsuit. There's a lot in there from the PBDC TV archives, things we've not seen before. One is really disturbing.
Disturbing? Okay, I don't like the sound of that. Is this something that will cause us to lose the case?
Oh, nothing like that. I mean disturbing in a completely different way. I found a VHS copy of Crimson Meerkat's audition tape for PBDC TV back from 1985.
Oh, got it. So some pretty weird conspiracy theories then, right?
Actually, no. So back when he first auditioned for PBDC TV, he wasn't a conspiracy expert. He was a country and western singer. A pretty bad one, as it turns out. Here, I've got it queued up. Let's take a look.
For labor number 8, we set out across the strait, with our sailing banners whipping in the breeze. The sun was on my face, and we were headed out to Thrace, so we could plunder King Diomedes. We were off to steal his horses, off to steal his horses, off to steal his horses, my friend. My debt was still unpaid, so I was off to lead a raid, and we were off to steal his horses, my friend. As we crept onto the farm, the guards raised the alarm. There was only one thing I could do. I charged across the yard and took the battle to the guards, with the mares in the care of my crew. I said, please watch the horses, oh please watch the horses, please watch the horses, my friends. No time to hitch the saddle, 'cause I'm running off to battle. Won't you please watch the horses, my friends? I finished off the guards, then walked back across the yard, with sadness and shock on my face. Because my crew I had doomed, and they all had been consumed by the man-eating mares of Thrace. They'd been eaten by the horses, eaten by the horses, eaten by the horses, my friend. My labor was complete, but my crew had been fresh meat, and they'd been eaten by the horses, my friend. Despairing and alone, I sailed back to my home, dejected and pondering my fate. 'Cause at the end of my journey was a team of attorneys representing my late crew's estate. And now here come the lawsuits, oh here come the lawsuits. I'll be in a courtroom till the end of time. The strings of fate are plucked and I am well and truly screwed. Oh brother, can you spare a dime?
My God in heaven, what the hell was that?
Apparently he was working on an opera based upon the 12 Labors of Hercules long before Malcolm got the idea. Maybe that's why Meerkat's so mad at Malcolm all the time. Meerkat's singing is even worse than Malcolm's rapping.
Well, if it's been subpoenaed, then we have to turn it over. So I guess we have no choice, but make sure you keep a copy, okay? We'll use it at the Christmas party.
Will do, Steve. Over and out.
Well, now that we've unearthed some embarrassing information from Meerkat's past, and given the latecomers a chance to join the live watch party, we can get on to the business of horror movies. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Now grab your popcorn and strap in, because here we go.
Get up. Get up!
What?
I want kids in Africa or wherever they eat sand to chant my name.
She's not all that anyway. It's all digital trickery.
From yesterday alone, Beverlywood Branding received 3.2 million individual views across all brands.
It's 6 a.m.
Morning starts when I wake up. Try to keep up.
Try not to fall and break your hip.
Do you know that vegans kill more wildlife by way of insects than the entire meat-eating population? It's vegan genocide.
I think I saw that in a meme.
Real women don't need filters. We are magic.
Oh, I know I'm a scientist, but this is awesome beyond calculation.
Okay, let's get into our featured film review for tonight. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. We are talking about this film. Yes, really, we are going to talk about a film called Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl. And I can tell you right now, if you had not figured it out, this is a new movie from Full Moon Features. You could probably figure that out from the title and from the subject matter and from the graphics that you see on the poster here, if you're at all familiar with Full Moon Features. This is of the campy late-night comedy genre. It is kind of horror-based. It is kind of loosely based upon old Hollywood-style creature features. It was released in the year 2022. In fact, as we are recording this, today it is August 1st. I believe this film was released in July, so I think it's only been out for a couple of weeks that we're reviewing this. I think we watched it and took the notes on it its first weekend in release. This was directed by Jim Wynorski, and the cast includes Ivy Smith, Eli Sereno, and Christine Nguyen. Let's talk about setting your expectations for Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl. What you should expect if you sit down to watch this film is a campy, late-night, borderline softcore parody of 1950s monster movies. Now, if you know anything about Full Moon Features, you did not need me to tell you that. If you took a look at the poster, you probably did not need me to tell you that. But for the sake of completeness, it's a campy, late-night, borderline softcore parody of 1950s monster movies, just in case you couldn't come to that conclusion on your own. If you liked the movie Killer Rack that we talked about a little bit last season, you will like this film. Basically, if you like anything from Full Moon Features, you'll like this film. We've talked about their Miskatonic U version of the From Beyond of the H.P. Lovecraft story. We have talked about another film of theirs, or another couple of film of theirs, involving the giant eye. So we have done Full Moon Features before. We've never done them as a featured film review like this before. If you like any of that stuff, you should enjoy this film. If you enjoyed the film Rubber that we did last year or a couple of years ago, you might enjoy this film. Anyway, so let's get into calibrating your expectations. This is the scale we like to use. On the far left side of the scale, we have very campy films such as Jason X. On the far right side of the scale, we have very serious films such as The Silence of the Lambs. This scale is not an assessment of the quality of a movie. It is an indicator of the mindset you need going into the movie in order to maximize your enjoyment of the movie. Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl, you could probably guess where this one needs to be, but just for the sake of completeness, yeah, you need to be all the way over onto the left side of the spectrum. You need to be expecting something completely campy, cheesy, corny, silly, and just a little bit sexy. So let's get into a film summary for Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl. In this film, Beverly Wood, played by Ivy Smith, is a wealthy internet influencer whose influence is fading. Internet influencer is one of those careers that I never would have postulated could exist back when I was younger, but they do exist. Beverly Wood is an internet influencer in this film. Her influence is fading because she's no longer the brand new thing on the block anymore. It's not necessarily that she's getting old, it's just that her show has been around a while and you can't stay on top forever. So she has a plan. She knows that her influence is fading a little bit. Now, Beverly has been peddling her own brand of cosmetics, but now Beverly plans to branch out from her own brand of cosmetics into sustainable food, with the goal of eliminating world hunger and thus securing her fame forever. So, not for philanthropic reasons, it's because she wants to secure her fame forever. It's a bit of a stretch, but they had to introduce some reason to have her eat genetically altered food that would cause her to grow, so I guess that's as good a plot device as any. Anyway, Beverly samples a trial sample of the genetically engineered food and suddenly discovers that the world is getting smaller. And, of course, she is growing and growing and growing. And now a word from our benevolent overlords at PBDC TV, your nightly heartbeat of horror.
Hello, all you beautiful people! It's your boy, Slippy! And when I'm not gouging my face down in gallons and gallons of ice cream, I'm watching PBDC TV. Yes, the most amazing TV show out there! Now keep on watching. I love y'all. Mwah! Stay nasty.
Well, gentlemen, perhaps we wouldn't be where we are today if we hadn't said to ourselves, just go for it.
Final score for this film, we're going to give it 3 paws out of 4.
Nuestra Señora de la Santa Muerte, Spanish for Our Lady of the Holy Death.
Out now!
Oh, sex and violence!
Hi everybody, I'm Akaw.
And I'm Pre-Sexist Diamond.
And we are Roots Bleed Red on Psycho Bunny Death Cult.
Aha!
In fact, humans have a very long history of eating each other.
So lock your doors, turn out your lights, and join us for Ghoul Radio.
This is Professor Edgar Fluffosaurus from Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, and when I'm not hosting Monster Chat or knocking down small Japanese cities, I'm watching PBDC TV. Now back to the show.
So let's get into things I liked about this film right off the bat. If you enjoy late-night campy comedies, or Cinemax After Dark type features, or Joe Bob Briggs drive-in theater type comedies, this one is better than many. It's not the best one I've ever seen. It is certainly not the worst one I've ever seen. It is, at worst, in the middle. So if nothing else, you might enjoy this one if you enjoy this kind of films, simply because it's something new that you haven't seen before. The film does not take itself even a little bit seriously. It's kind of fun to watch a film where everyone involved said there's no need to take this thing too seriously. The film does not burden you with a complex story. It comes up with just enough of a story to get you from the beginning to the end without the actors having to look at the camera and saying, okay, next scene, I don't know what to do. But not a whole lot beyond that. It doesn't really give you anything to talk about or dig into in more detail after the film is over. It's not that kind of film, so you really shouldn't expect that. Christine Nguyen is surprisingly energetic in this film, especially when compared to the other porn-quality acting performances, so she's definitely a cut above the others in terms of bringing her A-game to this film. And finally, some of the jokes are actually kind of witty. I will not say all, I will not say most, I will not say many, but I will say some of the jokes are actually kind of witty. With that, we will move on into things that could have been better. Now, we're talking about a movie from Full Moon Features called Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl. If you did not go into that thinking that there's going to be things that could have been better, I have a bridge to sell you, but let's go through a few of them right off the bat. If you do not enjoy late-night campy comedies or Cinemax After Dark style films, you need to give this one a pass. It is not for you. Similarly, the film does not take itself even a little bit seriously. If you are the kind of person who has a problem with a movie that does not take itself seriously, you need to find your entertainment elsewhere. Just give this one a pass. Don't watch it and then complain about it. You were warned. You were told going in what it is. That's not on the film. That's on you if you ignored the warning. Similarly, again, the film does not burden you with a complex story. If you are interested in a complex story or having something that you can discuss with your friends afterwards, this is not just the wrong film, this is the wrong genre for you to be dealing with. You need to be looking at something completely different than the Full Moon Features catalog. You get porn quality acting. Yeah, I can't really think of any other way to say it. It is porn quality acting. It is right up there with the caliber of acting you would expect from somebody who is reading a script as part of a hostage video. You get cheesy green screen special effects. If there is one thing we know about here at Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, it is cheesy green screen special effects. We're very adept at spotting them, and oh yeah, we spot them in this film. Now, obviously they're cheesy on purpose. It's kind of intentionally campy. Same as we do here on Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, but just the same, if that rubs you the wrong way, probably stay away from this film. You get a lot of corny humor. And finally, this is kind of an odd one. This I did not expect to be saying, but if you're expecting a straight-up porn film, a straight-up softcore porn, you're going to be disappointed. The film actually cuts away from all of the couples canoodling. Now, that said, I'm going to assume that there are two versions of this movie floating around, kind of the R-rated version, for lack of a better word, and the unrated version, for lack of a better word. I watched this film free with ads on Tubi, and there was not any canoodling. I assume there is another version that has canoodling a go-go, simply because they did set up several scenes of canoodling, and I don't know why they would have done that otherwise. So I'm going to assume there's another version floating around out there that is far more censorship required. Anyway, moving on. Let's get into Steve's scorecard. Kills. I only counted 1. Bare breasts, I counted 6. Cat fights, and here, of course, we are referring to battles between two young women, not battles between two felines. I counted 3. Canoodles, well, as we mentioned a moment ago, none. Although 3 are implied, we get to see the warm-up for 3 different events of canoodling, but we don't actually get to see any of them. Similarly, as part of the canoodling, we have girl-on-girl adventures. Again, none occur, but 1 is implied. So again, if there is an unrated version of this floating around somewhere, I'm going to bet that there's 3 instances of canoodling, including 1 girl-on-girl adventure in that film. Orphanages destroyed, something I never thought I would have to keep as a scorecard item. Not just orphanages destroyed, but orphanages for the blind destroyed. Yes, there is one of those. You saw that real quickly in the clip to open this review. And finally, deaths by motorboating. We're not talking about a boating accident. We are not talking about having a bad day out on Lake Mead. We are talking about the other form of motorboating, and yes, there is one death by motorboating. Now, with a film called Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl, you would expect there to be plentiful bonus features, and you would not be wrong. For starters, you get 50s-style opening credits, which are actually kind of interesting. They feel very much like the credits you would get in a 1950s monster movie. You get, you're going to watch this film, and at the beginning you're going to ponder, are there only 3 people in this film? For the first 15 minutes or so, it's just the same 3 characters with nobody else, not even any extras in the background, and you start to wonder, is it just the same 3 people who are going to be this entire film? Now, eventually they introduce a few more characters, I want to say 3 more, and the cast kind of stays at 6 with a few extras here and there in a couple of the scenes, but otherwise just 3 primary characters and 3 secondary characters. It is not a big cast, so it is not challenging to stay on top of who is whom in this film. I want to get unfiltered with you. Yes, that is the kind of high-quality dialogue you can expect when you sit down to watch Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl. You get a new definition of morning. You saw that in the opening clips. Morning starts when I wake up. You get anti-vegan propaganda. Now, nobody has ever accused me of being a defender of veganism or vegan diets, but even I call BS on some of the propaganda that is dispensed in this film. And I think the propaganda is intentionally silly and intentionally incorrect, but on the off chance that there's anyone who gets upset about that sort of thing, yeah, I'm pretty sure that what the scientist is saying about veganism and killing insects is probably untrue. You get self-replicating hot dogs. Yes, really. I don't know why the world needs self-replicating hot dogs, but should the world ever require a self-replicating hot dog, this film has you covered. You get, she could die, is the concern expressed by one scientist, to which the other scientist who has a crush on Beverly says, die hotly. You get failed science guy high fives. Yeah, we saw that again in the opening clips. You get boob slapping. In fact, you get multiple incidences of boob slapping, and I'm sorry, if you lead with your chin, you're going to get punched in the chin. If you lead with your boobs, you're going to get slapped in the boobs. You get giant dual motorboating, and again, we're not talking about a pair of giant motorboats out on Lake Mead. We are talking about motorboating between 2 giant girls. And finally, just a personal note, I question the scientific plausibility of this film. I am not convinced that this was well researched. I am not convinced that they went to universities and consulted with professors before they put the screenplay together. I'm not going to say they didn't do those things, but I'm not convinced that they did. So let's get into Steve's final score for this film. We're going to give it 2 paws out of 4. We're going to say it's a late-night guilty pleasure, and that's the important word here. That is the key phrase, guilty pleasure. This is the kind of stuff people watch and don't tell anyone else that they watch. So obviously there's a market for this because Full Moon Features keeps making them, and yet nobody claims to watch this stuff, so clearly some people are lying. Anyway, this is a late-night guilty pleasure that you'll either enjoy or you won't, depending upon your tolerance for late-night campiness. Now, objectively, this is a half-paw film, but graded in the context of being a campy late-night comedy, it's a 2-paw film. So, if you go into this expecting a campy late-night comedy, it works as well as anything else. It's better than probably half or more of the films you'll stumble across. If you go in expecting anything else, an actual legitimate monster movie, a legitimate horror movie, a legitimate character study, you're going to give this at best half a paw, and you're going to bail out a few minutes in because this is absolutely not what you're looking for. This is why we do these reviews. This is why we take pains to go through setting your expectations for the film and talk about things that could have been better and specifically focus on this sort of stuff. It's not the movie's fault if we tell you straight up what the movie is. That's not your thing, and you watch it anyway. If you do that, that's on you. That's not on the movie. Anyway, 2 paws out of 4. That is Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl, and that is Steve's final score for this featured film review.
Pure. Blessed.
Hey, make sure Dave at the gate knows that you're on the stay behind.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. Bye. Hunt them. Know their fear.
We've reached the end of yet another episode of Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, but as is our tradition, before we go, we're going to take just a minute to talk about some other stuff Steve watched this week. Today we are going to talk about a slasher serial killer film called Christie. Christie is a 2014 film, an American film, available free with ads on Tubi, available on Amazon Prime, available on any number of streaming services. This one is not too hard to find, which is good for you because it is a good movie and it is worth watching. In this film, it tells the story of Justine. Unable to afford a ticket home, college student Justine stays behind at her small, private East Coast college over Thanksgiving. It's very sad because the campus is very, very empty, so she is very, very alone. Now, while she is alone, her best friend and roommate did leave the keys to her best friend's BMW, so Justine can at least get around town if she needs to. Well, while driving her friend's BMW, Justine attracts the attention of an anti-Christian cult that targets young women, all of whom they refer to as Christi. Now, apparently the etymology of Christi goes back to the Latin word for follower of Christ. The cultists believe that when they kill a girl and call her Christi, they are killing God. So it's not that they target women named Christi. They pick women that fit a certain profile, pretty, entitled-looking, wealthy, which Justine is not. But she is driving a friend's BMW and looks like she has money. So they call their victims Christi. Anyway, having attracted the attention of this cult, Justine soon finds herself hunted, leading to a deadly game of cat and mouse all over the empty college campus. And it's fairly scary because the college campus is almost completely abandoned. Most of the film takes place in the dark. The college is in the process of replacing some electrical wiring, but the wirers will not be back until Monday, so the lights are going out unexpectedly. It's not the best environment to be spending Thanksgiving. Let's talk about the pros and cons of this film. I liked this film. I do recommend this film. I have watched it several times. I would say this film creates a scary atmosphere and effectively uses music to build tension. As I mentioned, the college campus actually makes a really good backdrop for this, and in some of the clips that you saw before the review started, I tried to insert some clips that emphasized how they used dramatic music to build tension in scenes. Haley Bennett's performance is excellent. I have always had a soft spot for Haley Bennett ever since I saw her with Hugh Grant and Drew Barrymore in the film Music and Lyrics. I saw her most recently in a Hillbilly Elegy. She's a fine actress. So her performance in this film is very, very good, which is good for the audience because the film is largely just following her as she is being chased by these killers. So it would be kind of a real painful film to watch were she not delivering a good performance. Also, this does not look like a cheap film. It is a well-made film. It is competently lit. There is competent camera work. Even though most of it takes place in the dark, you can more than easily tell what is going on, unlike many movies that you will find on streaming services that are so dark that you just can't tell what's happening. Now, on the downside, this film is formulaic and predictable, and as we have talked about many times, slasher films tend to be formulaic and predictable, so this film's sin is no worse than any other film, but it's not one of those rare films that's able to break out of the mold either. So it is formulaic, it is predictable. That does kind of pull it down into the middle of the pack with many other slasher films. The story is somewhat implausible. This anti-Christian cult is actually a nationwide cult. They have cells in cities all over the United States, and they share techniques and their kills online. That's kind of hard to believe. At least I'd like to think it's hard to believe. If that kind of thing is really going on, I don't want to know about it. Also, almost the entire town is empty for Thanksgiving, and that's just having gone to college and known many people that stayed on campus over Thanksgiving. It strikes me as implausible that the campus would be that empty. Now, maybe they're playing up the fact that this is a wealthy college and Haley Bennett is the one character who's there on financial assistance, so she's the only one who could not afford to go home over Thanksgiving. I'll leave that to you to source out for yourself. So overall, I would say this is a pretty good, if conventional, slasher film, and definitely one worth watching. I recommend this film. I have watched it several times. It's not too hard to find. Like I said, it's available both on Tubi and Amazon Prime as I am recording this. I first watched this on Netflix many years ago. I don't know if it's still available on Netflix, but it has appeared on Netflix from time to time. The point is that this is not a difficult film to find on streaming services, and yet it is worth watching. So that is Christy, and that is some of the other stuff Steve watched this week. That brings us to the end of another episode of Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a lot of fun putting this episode together. We hope you enjoyed it as well. Of course, we always love to hear from you, so feel free to sound off in the comments about your favorite guilty pleasure from Full Moon Features, or anything else that suits your fancy. And as always, if you did enjoy the show, please give us a like and a share. The best thing you can do to help out this broadcast is to share this video, and it costs you absolutely nothing to do so. If you want to stay up to speed on our latest videos and other goings-on, you can follow us and subscribe on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat is available exclusively through PBDC TV, your nightly heartbeat of horror. If you're interested in horror movies, true crime, creepy history, or unexplained events, we're sure to have a show for you. You can find us at psychobunnydc.com, and we're also on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. Also, we have a 100% Zuckerberg-free Discord site. If you would like to check that out, just head on over to psychobunnydc.com and click on the link for an invitation. We're going to be back next week with some more horror movie goodness to share with you all. In the meantime, everyone have a great week and stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Good night, everybody.